My first like nomination for Song of the Year is Walking by Denzel Curry.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Like, a few reasons for this. A, it's just an absolute banger of a song. Second off, I seen Denzel at Leeds Fest. He was one of the standout artists by far. And that song really popped off. Like, the energy for that song was unbelievable.
When it kicked in.
I already know, like, I can reminisce on that. But and there's just that, like, floaty, vibey, like, oh, it's just such a sick song.
I like how it kicks in with the floaty vibes and kind of like, and then when the beat kicks in, you start going, oh, here we go, following it along. Yeah, I really like that track. That's a good call.
It's sick. What's yours? What's your first shout?
So my top song of the year, I'm gonna go with Punk Tactics by Joey Valence and Bray. So they've released maybe 7 or 8 singles this year. I think they're yet to release like an EP or an album or anything. But I was really fond of this song when it dropped, and then they just kept dropping banger after banger, and like you could listen to the whole discography within 2 hours, if not less. Maybe maybe an hour and a half. But it popped off on TikTok, did really well there. And sometimes songs on TikTok that pop off aren't particularly good songs, but the rap style, it's going back to boom bap. It's a bit Beastie Boys style. It works. They're basically a new age Beastie Boys. And then went to see them live, I think at the start, mid-November, and it just absolutely fantastic. But I'd Punk Tactics #1.
I feel like they could be one in 2023 when they do release like a full-scale album that could blow up even more. I know they've already got like pretty good numbers considering they've not done like a proper project, but yeah, I could certainly see them blowing up next year, like 100%. All right, so my second shout, I don't know like which one of these I'm going to pick as a winner. At the end of like the song section, I'll try pick an actual #1. My second shout is a song called If You Ever Leave, I'm Coming With You by the Wombats.
Well, okay.
So, like, the Wombats have been a staple in the indie rock scene for years now. Like, they've remained relevant. And I just think they're one of those really impressive bands where every album that they've done, they've had, like, 3 or 4 bangers that have, like, kind of captured, like, the indie rock scene really well. And I think this is another example of that. And one of those that I know I'm going to listen to for years and years. And, like, I look forward to seeing the Wombats. I've got tickets to see them next year. And they'll do that song and it'll pop off. But I just think that that's a good shout because they've been in and around the scene for so long and they're still releasing like those proper like classic indie bangers. Like,
I didn't even know that they were still going and releasing songs, to be fair. So the fact that they are still going is fair play.
That's what I mean. They've released 2 EPs this year, actually. So they're still going pretty large.
Going hard, aren't they? Yeah, putting out songs, fair play. So for my #2... it's going back to our good friend Denzel, but I'm going with Troubles.
Okay.
Denzel Curry featuring T-Pain. So that was one of the first singles off his newest release. And I remember when it dropped, I'm a big fan of T-Pain as a person. His music, not so much, because it's more like an R&B vibe, isn't it? So it's not. I'm not massive into R&B and like kind of like chiller rap and such like that. But T-Pain is absolutely jokes and he streams, and I liked him anyway. So when I saw Denzel did a song with T-Pain, I was like, this is going to be good because they would have been in studio together having a laugh, and it's going to be a good production. And then when the song dropped, I was I was very on board with it. And then seeing it live as well, when it starts kicking in, it's another one of those intros. Denzel has really good intros where all he has to do is do the first for that song, and then for this one it's that bouncy kind of beat, and it's just like he has such good like, and then it's the whoa kitty. That's it.
Whoever's doing his production is smashing it.
10 out of 10.
Yeah. Denzel at Leeds Fest was so good. Like, to be honest, I should have gone to see him in Manchester as well. I think we mentioned it at one point, but didn't end up going. Yeah, there's certainly someone I'll see on the next UK tour because I saw videos of the Manchester gig as well, and it looked mental.
Is Denzel at that festival in Manchester?
Yeah, he's headlining.
He is, isn't he?
Yeah. Outbreak Fest. Yeah, so maybe we should go to that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So my last shout, and this is like in my top 3. So I've got 1 or 2 honourable mentions after this. I'll just blast them out at the end of this because they're not quite as important. But my last shout is a song called Looking for Somebody to Love by the 1975. No, you're not a big fan, but 1975, again, saw him at Leeds Fest, got tickets to see him next year. And I just think this is like of their new album, this is probably my favourite song. Really catchy, like some nice trumpets and stuff in there. It's just like a feel-good, like dance along, not too serious, not depressing. Just a really good bop, to be honest. Like, not much more to say about it other than I know seeing it live with all the trumpets and stuff will be a good experience.
So that's definitely one, like, big upside on the 1975 is that the musicians are incredibly talented. To see them
live, they're really
with
good.
the full setup, that'd be.
And then my two honourable mentions that I've got is a song called "I Love You" by Fontaines DC. They've kind of popped off this year. I think it was their first like full length album, maybe the second, but yeah, they've got really big this year. And Fontaines, I think, are going to be like a staple in the rock scene for years and years to come. I Love You was my favourite song out of their new stuff. Really good song. And then the last one is Turn Off the Lights by Fred again, featuring Swedish House Mafia. Another one who's massively blown up this year, and I'd love to see him live. Like, I've seen some of the videos and they look absolutely class.
There's a lot of artists coming up recently that their shows just look just next level. It looks like such an experience.
Fred again's good as well, because he's one of those where up to the start of this year he was like not unknown, but he was more like a producer side, and he had released some albums but they hadn't blown up too much. He did a Boiler Room set and he's just exploded since then, and that's how I found him, to be fair. I'm not like one of those, I knew him before. I knew him when he got big, but I really like him now, so hopefully he does a big UK tour next year.
Fingers crossed, it'll be decent stuff. Yeah, man. Okay, so we're going to number 3 for me. Which we're going to go in at 6 Litre GTR by The Chats. So The Chats are like a Australian punk band, and they're really simplistic, like songs. Like, it's generic punk, not generic, but it's, you know, your standard punk. It's guitar, bass, and drums, and a vocalist. There's only 3 members.
Simple.
And it's just, they're just like singing about going on a smoking break is their main song. I'm on Smoko, and it's just basically you will know him.
No, I know that I'm on Smoko song 100%.
So they released that this year along with an album, and it was just phenomenal. I went to see them live in Sheffield, and it was next level. They bring the energy that's in their songs. When you listen to their music, when you go to see them, it's exactly what you expect. Like, they're just as crazy. In fact, they play their songs at, like, you know how some bands do 1.25 speed for some reason? They did that, but the songs are already fast, so it was just like, it was like, fucking hell, what's going on here?
I feel like they might have done the Brudenell recently. I don't know if I imagined that, but I swear I seen a poster. It might have been a poster for like a different venue.
Maybe, yeah. I was going to say I probably would have heard of it, but maybe they did. Maybe I missed it. I'm good at missing gigs. Okay, so I've got I've got more honourable mentions than I had in my actual top 3 list, but I'll just reel them off really fast. So we've got Jimmy, Brian and Mike by Eminem. He released it on the Eminem Expanded Edition, which was phenomenal release in my opinion, but I am heavily biased. And Jimmy, Brian and Mike was a song that he'd recorded yonks ago, and he'd released a few tracks that were from that period on this edition of the album, but he re-recorded this track in current day. Right. So it's old style Eminem, but new Eminem doing old style Eminem, which is what everybody wants. And it's like, if you can do that, why can't you just do that for every track that you're releasing?
It's a perfect mishmash.
Right, yeah. And then the song called Creek Boy by a guy called Prof. He's not a huge rapper, but I like him because he's very different. His beats are a bit kooky. He doesn't follow your normal flow and stuff. He's a little bit one of those rappers that's kind of on the outliers, but is still phenomenal. Then we have Bars Simpson, which is by Sonny Jim, and that's featuring MF Doom and Jay Electronica. Okay. So obviously MF Doom passed away last New Year. So any releases that have MF Doom features on that have been left in the vault that are now coming out, I'm just happy about, and this was by far the best one. So
yeah, Jay Electronica is quite good as well. I've listened to some of his tracks with like Jay-Z and stuff in the past.
Yeah,
he's got some decent releases, to be fair.
And Sonny Jim is like a Cockney rapper.
Okay.
So him going against MF Doom and like the cross between the two just sounds really cool. So
yeah, it works well.
And then one more, which is Grime Ain't Dead, Silencer, Dizzy Rascal. I completely forgot that Dizzy dropped this year, and I went back to that one. I listened to it. I was like, I remember it was like January, February, but I remember just bumping it like for the first like 2 months of the year. So going back to that,
Dizzy Rascal's one of those that stayed in the UK rap scene and stayed relevant for so long. Like he's still massive. I remember the Rascal album. I really liked that a couple of years ago. Dizzy Rascal's class. Thank you for watching. That was a clip from the Man Overboard podcast.
And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to click on the links down below because we're on every streaming service and that's where you can find full episodes.
Peace.